a special day. The U.S. Congress has designated it as National Corvette Day. On June 30th, in 1953, the first Corvette rolled off the assembly line. 50 years later, this 2003 model was created. So I thought this week's Forward Journey would be a little special nod of America's most famous sports car, and what I would suggest is the best used sports car you can buy for the money. So buckle up, let's go on a ride. Talk a little bit about America's sports car, the Corvette. We've been fortunate enough to own 3 Corvettes over the last several years. A 1976 C3, a 1990 C4, and now our 2003 C5. Now before you go thinking that we're made of money, let me give you a little bit of context for that comment about why I think these cars are the most affordable American sports car. To understand kind of the value of these different generations of Corvettes, there's a few key things to clarify. First, the car that I'm interested in having is a daily driver. I do store the car during wintertime, but obviously I want to drive it all summer. So that means I'm not pursuing the most unique or collectible or perfect car. I'm pursuing a car that is solid and able to drive and able to enjoy. Let's go to the chalkboard and I'll explain why the cars I've purchased have been at the low end of the cost scale. So, as we talked about, the Corvette first started production in 1953, and since then there's been 8 different versions or models or generations of the car, and in car terms those are referred to as C1 through C8, the 8th generation being the current mid-engine Corvette. If you take a look at the things that drive the value of the cars, it tends to be uniqueness or the rarity of the cars. There were very few cars produced in that first generation. The first year of the Corvette only saw 300 cars produced. As you move through and they started to get more popular and they produced more and more of the car, still means it's a great driving car. It just meant that there's a lot of them available on the market, therefore they aren't that rare and the prices drop down. So the 3 different cars that I've owned have all been at that low end of the price scale. The first Corvette I owned was a 1976. It was a Corvette Stingray. 76 was the last year they used the Stingray name until they brought it back again in the 7th generation. So this is a 3rd generation car, a C3. In 1976, they had not created the swept back window yet. That came in 78. This was a great car. It was a 4-speed standard, heavy clutch, but a lot of fun to drive. The car had the L48 version of Corvette's 350 small block V8 engine in it. It was just a lot of fun. The T-tops were a nice 70s retro feel. One of my best memories of my 1976 was a day out with the local Corvette club where they set up a low-speed rally in one of the large parking lots. It was a real joy to drive the car through the pylons and have a timed result, and it was just a lot of fun to have the car doing its thing in that environment. We really enjoyed our 76, but other priorities came up during those years. We were busy with twins in university, so we sold the car and it became college tuition. After several years without a Corvette in the stable, I found this C4, a 1990 Corvette, at a great price, and we jumped into the next generation, the C4 Corvette. The C4 represented a great leap forward in engineering and performance from the old C3 cars. The C4 had the L98 Torque Monster version of Chevy's small block V8. One of the things that was kind of neat about this era is cars made in Bowling Green, Kentucky, you can download the original build sheet for. highlight trip with our 1990 Corvette was when we traveled down to Bowling Green, Kentucky, to the Corvette Museum, and to tour the Corvette factory. The Corvette Museum is a wonderful place that displays all the different history of the Corvette and shows the journey and the evolutions of the technology. You know, Honda Accords and Toyota Camrys are great cars, but they just don't have a museum. So that brings us to our current car. We found this 2003, which is the 50th anniversary year of the Corvette, for sale with under 30,000 miles for $16,000. So we sold the red one, and now we're focused on Black Beauty.
You and I, we're trouble in sight. Beating hearts don't lie. An empty page, a story to write. I'm in love, you're divine, and it's all in our signs. We're going away. Get your bag, check the tag. Decision is made. Lock your door, need no more. It's already paid. Cancel your mail for a while. It's a journey for life, and I'm your ride. Hang on, we'll be long gone. Hang on, I cannot go wrong.
Well, we wanted to make sure we were legal, but I wanted to show you a little bit of a feel for the acceleration. So not going to break the speed limit, but let's get up to the speed limit quickly. Not only performance increased in the C5, but several other features.
One thing that I really like about the Corvette is this hatchback. There's always room for luggage, so we can go for weekend trips as often as we want. Even though this is a two-seater sports car, there's just lots of room here in the back. And right now, we've got the roof stored back here. But there's lots of room, as you can see, for luggage. We can go on weekend trips anytime we like.
One of the neat features of this year's Corvette was the inclusion of a heads-up display that projects information up onto the windshield so that the driver can look, not take his eyes off the road and still see important information. All right, one of the things I like about the C5 is that it is both a coupe and a convertible, really. The target top comes off and allows it to be just like a convertible. So it's stored right back here in the hatch. And take a look. You can see down there that the roof tabs plug into special holders here in the back, and then it locks securely in place so that as you're driving, it's secured. It's a bit awkward for one person, but doable. Now I'll finish the rest of it from the inside. And you'll notice there's a safety catch on this center latch that ensures that it's been locked securely in place. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tribute to America's sports car, the Chevy Corvette. We sure love our Vet, and all three of the ones that we've owned have been just a treat. If you've liked this video, please click like, join subscribe, and catch more adventures as we continue on our forward journey.